When Diane Keaton passed away on October 11, 2025, the headlines called her a legend, but she was also something rarer. An actress who quietly became one of Hollywood's most financially savvy figures. By the end of her life, her fortune sat around $100 million, built not on brand deals or scandal, but on talent, discipline, and brick-and-mortar investment. Born Diane Hall in Los Angeles in 1946, she grew up with a creative mother and a real estate agent father, a mix of artistry and pragmatism that would define her. She started her career in New York theater before moving to film, earning $35,000 for The Godfather in 1972 and $125,000 for Part 2 2 years later. By the late 1970s, after Annie Hall, her salary climbed to $400,000, and by the 1990s, she was earning several million per picture. Her acting career alone brought in well over $60 million across 6 decades. But the real secret of her fortune wasn't her paycheck. It was what she did with it. 2. Hollywood's quiet real estate tycoon. Diane Keaton never measured wealth in handbags or yachts. Her riches were built with bricks and beams. While other celebrities spent on excess, she poured her fortune into homes, turning real estate into both art and enterprise. Her approach was personal and precise. Find a property with history, restore it with soul, and let craftsmanship do the appreciating. Every project reflected her creative fingerprint: limestone floors, reclaimed wood, warm tones, and that unmistakable Keaton aesthetic of timeless California charm. In 2004, she bought a Laguna Beach oceanfront home for $7.5 million, redesigned it in her signature Spanish Revival style, and sold it 2 years later for $12.75 million, earning $5.25 million in profit. Her next success came with a Pacific Palisades villa purchased for $5.6 million in 2012, sold for $6.9 million 4 years later. Then, in 2018, she bought a Tucson hacienda for $1.5 million, transformed it with hand-picked vintage tiles and desert-inspired textures, and sold it in 2020 for $2.6 million. Her crowning achievement, however, was the house that Pinterest built. Her self-designed Brentwood estate, a masterpiece of reclaimed materials and minimal elegance, listed in March 2025 for $28.9 million. Even in her final months, she was overseeing its details, proof that her creative and financial instincts never dulled. Over 2 decades, Keaton's real estate ventures brought in over $35 million in profit, delivering average annual returns of 11, better than most Wall Street portfolios. She didn't just live in homes, she built an empire of them. 3. The business of being Diane Keaton. Her acting income was the foundation, but Keaton's financial empire extended far beyond Hollywood. She published 5 coffee table books: California Romance, House, and The House That Pinterest Built among them, which collectively sold over 500,000 copies and earned around $2 million in royalties. Her residuals were a small fortune on their own. With films like Annie Hall, The Godfather trilogy, and Something's Gotta Give constantly airing on streaming platforms, she earned an estimated $1.5 million to $2 million annually in royalties. Her late career projects, Book Club 2, 2023, Mac and Rita, 2022, Summer Camp, 2024, each brought her another $2 million plus, proving her star power never waned. And then there was social media. By 2024, she had 2.4 million Instagram followers and occasionally partnered with brands such as Gucci and Warby Parker. Each post was worth about $15,000 to $20,000, adding roughly $200,000 a year in passive income, all while she filmed herself dancing in her kitchen, poking fun at her own fame. Her portfolio by 2025 looked like this: real estate, $60 million, cash and investments, $15 million, royalties and residuals, $10 million, books and branding, $5 million, art and collectibles, $10 million. Add it up, and you have the architecture of a $100 million fortune. Diversified, deliberate, and entirely self-made. 4. A lifestyle of quiet luxury. For all that money, Diane Keaton lived nothing like a typical celebrity. Her indulgence was craftsmanship. She poured money into design, not decadence. rare lighting fixtures, handmade ceramics, oak beams salvaged from demolished barns. Her main residence in Brentwood was filled with black and white photography, neutral linens, and open sunlight. She famously kept one wall covered in her mother's scrapbooks and another in vintage architectural sketches. She owned 5 properties in total, each with a story, and rotated between them for years. Friends say she still drove her own BMW 7 Series, picked up coffee in baggy trousers and wide-brimmed hats, and spent her evenings reading blueprints. Her annual personal expenses, staff, travel, renovations, averaged around $2 million, a fraction of her income. Her financial discipline was as recognizable as her style, timeless, unshowy, and quietly formidable. 5. The generous investor. Keaton was wealthy, but she was never wasteful. Over her lifetime, she donated more than $10 million to causes close to her heart, chiefly the Alzheimer's Association, in memory of her mother, and the Los Angeles Conservancy, which preserves historic architecture. She also established an $8 million family trust to fund scholarships for young architects and female designers at UCLA, ensuring that her love of old houses would inspire new ones. Her philanthropic approach mirrored her business style, targeted, hands-on, and never publicized for attention. 6. The legacy that out-earned time. After her passing, the numbers didn't stop moving. Demand for her film surged on streaming, book sales tripled, and her Brentwood estate, listed at $28.9 million, reportedly sold for $27 million by year's end. The estate's valuation pushed her net worth past $110 million in early 2026, officially making her one of the wealthiest female performers in Hollywood history. Her heirs, Dexter and Duke Keaton, inherited not just money but a business model. Invest patiently, restore beauty, and own your image. They now oversee her properties and licensing rights under the Keaton Estate Trust, projected to generate $4 million annually in passive revenue from film royalties and publishing. 7. The meaning of a billionaire life. So why call it a billionaire life when the bank balance says otherwise? Because Diane Keaton's wealth was multidimensional. She achieved what real billionaires chase but rarely find: total autonomy. She never relied on studios, never bent to Hollywood trends, and never needed to sell an illusion of perfection. Her financial independence gave her creative freedom, and her creative freedom kept her wealth meaningful. Every brick she laid, every film she chose, every tailored suit she wore, it was all investment. She once said, "I'm not rich, I'm curious. Curiosity just happens to pay really well." It's hard to argue with that math. 8. The final balance sheet of a life well lived. By the end of her extraordinary life, Diane Keaton's financial legacy read like the balance sheet of a visionary, not a celebrity. Her career in film brought in roughly $60 million, a testament to decades of smart choices and steady success. From The Godfather to Something's Gotta Give, she never chased quantity. She chose projects that aged as gracefully as she did. But the real story of her fortune was written in bricks and mortar. Her passion for restoring historic California homes earned her another $35 million in profit, transforming forgotten architecture into art. She had a rare ability to see beauty and value where others saw dust and decay. Books and branding added another $5 million, each page and post reflecting the same understated elegance that made her one of Hollywood's most distinctive voices. Yet for all she earned, she gave just as generously. Over $10 million went quietly to causes she cared about. From Alzheimer's research in honor of her mother to preservation projects that kept Los Angeles history alive. By 2025, her total estate was valued around $100 million, with projections rising to $110 million after her passing, as film royalties, book sales, and her architectural holdings continued to grow. But beyond those numbers, Diane Keaton left behind something far more valuable: influence. She redefined what it meant to age with power and personality. She proved that eccentricity could build equity, that laughter could be a livelihood, and that authenticity was the smartest investment of all. Her wealth wasn't just in dollars. It was in the freedom to live on her own terms, in timeless taste, quiet confidence, and a legacy that keeps appreciating long after she's gone. 9. A toast to Diane Keaton. Diane Keaton didn't just act in movies. She designed a masterpiece of a life. Every decision, from a wardrobe choice to a property renovation, carried intention. She turned wit into wealth, creativity into capital, and eccentricity into an empire. Her billionaire life wasn't about excess. It was about freedom. The ability to choose what mattered and to build it beautifully. She leaves behind laughter, timeless films, restored houses, and a balance sheet that reads like a love letter to craftsmanship and curiosity. Here's to Diane Keaton, the woman who proved that true wealth isn't loud, it's lived. If you enjoyed this look inside Diane Keaton's billionaire-style life, hit subscribe for more deep dives into the fortunes and philosophies of the world's most fascinating icons. Because wealth isn't just about numbers, it's about legacy, taste, and the courage to do it your own way.